non-conference slate officially behind you, moving on to Pac-12. What was your biggest takeaway from that first part of the season?
Well, I was pleased with our effort, but obviously our consistency has to improve in all facets of the game. So a lot of positives, but we do have to get a lot better. And again, the encouraging thing is I think we can. I think we can tighten a lot of things up, and our guys can really make a lot of improvement here through January and February.
Sean Miller had said that at this point in the season he thinks you're the Pac-12 Coach of the Year. Have you heard that?
No, I hadn't, but...
Just because of what you got out of the freshmen?
Well, he's being awfully kind, just because, Arizona's really played well. Oregon State done a great job. Cal's done a great job. There's been, I think our league, it was all step forward. Utah really playing good. So, I think our league's, coming along. There's a lot of young players. We had the most NBA draft choices last year from our league compared to all the other leagues. So obviously we lost a lot of good players.
Can you pinpoint why you guys have had so much success, especially with the freshmen, for being a program that doesn't typically use a lot of freshmen?
Well, we've got good freshmen. Dylan's a good player. Jordan has really come on and helped us defensively. Casey and Ahmaad have been solid, and I think there's a lot more there. But those four guys are pretty good players, and as they continue to develop, I think they'll kind of be the core for us. I think they're a good group of guys. They each bring different skill sets, so I think they can really help us.
Oregon State, another team with a lot of turnover on their roster from last year. What have you seen from them this year?
Well, they're really doing a good job. They know how they want to play. I didn't have an opportunity to see them play until the last week here after we got done with Irvine and started looking at their film. And, they do a great job defensively with their zones, mixing it up. Offensively, they know where their shots want to come from, but, they got a lot of steals. Payton really gets a lot of steals. So, they've played really well, and we'll have a tough game.
Payton's done a lot just on all facets in the game. How do you limit his effectiveness?
Well, it's hard because, he makes things happen on the defensive end with 70 steals, I think, and then he's averaging 8 rebounds a game. So, it's hard to take those things away. If he's just a catch and shoot shooter, you can take that away, but he gets his points off steals, he gets his points off offensive rebound putbacks. He's shooting it a little better. So, he's really a versatile player.
I know defensively the defensive side of the ball is something that you've wanted to work on. What do you think is the biggest adjustment that needs to be made against an Oregon State team?
Well, it doesn't matter if it's Oregon State or anybody we've played. We've had some really good defensive possessions, and then on the other end of the spectrum, we've had really bad ones. So our consistency just needs to improve. We got to start eliminating some of those bad possessions that we have. Just real easy baskets that we give up, and just really change the momentum of our game. Santa Barbara is a great example. We start second half. Those were 7 of the easiest baskets I've ever seen, and and in the first half we really guarded. So I don't know. We got to cut out some of our bad possessions defensively.
I know you've been messing around with your starting 5, and you mentioned Joe Young as a player who stood out to you at practice. Is there anyone else who's been standing out as a player that will be a lock?
Well, it's hard. Elgin's missed the last couple days of practice. Dylan was sick yesterday. Jaleel's been out, since the Cal Santa Barbara game. So we just haven't had the consistency, from those guys. And, the freshmen have been a little inconsistent. So usually you like the starters to be the guys that are coming to practice every day and really performing consistently there and then consistently on the game floor. And, I guess that all goes back to, our original statement. Right now we're not getting the consistency that we want from our team. So, we'll just keep changing around until, something comes up that we like.
I'm sure you'd like to avoid some of these overtime games that you had, but is there a sense that you're maybe battle tested going into Pac-12 play that you can grind out these close ones?
Well, if we win, it doesn't bother me. Losing them is not any fun, but no, we've won some close games. We've lost a couple. The Michigan game, we were down 2 with a minute to go and needed to stop and didn't get it. So, it's a never-changing, climate with our team, and you do like winning some close games and the knowledge that you can come back. But I think a lot of teams pick that up through, their non-conference season, and now, it just starts a totally different thing here with the conference.
Why have you guys had so much success in overtime? I think it's 8th straight.
I don't know. If they were all at home, you'd say just at home, but a lot of them have been on the road until the last couple. I think most of them have been on the road. So, I don't know. Guys have done a good job. They've got refocused and have been able to find a way to win.
Joe Young said that you called him after the Rose Bowl yesterday, saying that you liked the up-tempo speed that Mark Helfrich was running on the football field. I mean, can you talk about that?
Well, there's so many things you can learn, from watching other teams play. Florida State had a little bit of a size advantage with most of the teams that we play do, and so we beat them with, with the pace and execution. Our execution I thought was really good. I don't know anything about football, but some would question if I know anything about basketball. But the execution was so good, the pace was so good. People would question our toughness, which is ridiculous because we're a physical team, and we've proven that. The turnovers kept Cal Irvine in the game. And so there's so much our team could learn from that game. And the one thing I've always been impressed, the 5 years I've been able to watch Oregon football is just the team concept. Our guys, they care about each other. Our coaches have such a way with the players that there's just a real sense of team. And I think all of our teams can learn something from that. And so, I called a lot of the players and talked to them about all the things we could learn, from that game, and because I knew they had all watched it. We had practice early, and we were all excited about it. So.